Buckle up because we're about to dive into a wild ride of legal loopholes and courtroom drama that'll blow your mind. We're counting down the top 10 criminals who slipped through the justice system's fingers thanks to some seriously slick lawyers. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, let me tell you, number one on this list is going to make your jaw hit the floor. It's a case so outrageous, so unbelievable, that you'll be questioning everything you thought you knew about the law. So stick around because this is one countdown you don't want to miss. 10. The Teflon Don's Dance with Justice. Kicking off our list at number 10, we've got John Gotti, the infamous mob boss who earned himself the nickname the Teflon Don. This guy was slipperier than a greased up eel. I'm telling ya, Gotti faced trial after trial, but nothing seemed to stick. His lawyer, Bruce Cutler, was a real firecracker in the courtroom, turning witnesses inside out and poking holes in the prosecution's case like it was Swiss cheese. Cutler's tactics were so effective that Gotti walked free from 3 high-profile trials in the 1980s. It was like watching a legal magician at work, pulling not guilty verdicts out of thin air. The feds were tearing their hair out, wondering how this guy kept slipping through their fingers. But hey, that's the power of a good lawyer for you. 9. The Great Houdini of Wall Street. Next up, we've got Michael Milken, the junk bond king of the 1980s. This guy was like the Great Houdini of Wall Street, always finding a way to escape the long arm of the law. When the feds finally thought they had him cornered, Milken's dream team of lawyers pulled off a legal masterstroke. Led by Arthur Lehman, these legal eagles negotiated a plea deal that had everyone's jaws on the floor. Milken pleaded guilty to a handful of charges, but managed to dodge the big ones that could have put him away for life. It was like watching a high-stakes poker game with Milken's freedom on the line. In the end, he walked away with a slap on the wrist compared to what he could have gotten. Talk about a get-out-of-jail-free card. 8. The Courtroom Conjurer. Coming in at number 8, we've got a real doozy for you. Robert Blake, the actor turned courtroom sensation. When Blake found himself in hot water, he called in the big guns. Gerald Schwartzbach. This lawyer was like a courtroom conjurer, pulling legal rabbits out of his hat left and right. Schwartzbach's defense was a masterclass in reasonable doubt. He poked so many holes in the prosecution's case, it looked like Swiss cheese by the time he was done. The jury was left scratching their heads, and Blake walked out of that courtroom a free man. It was like watching a legal thriller unfold in real time, with twists and turns that'd make your head spin. 7. The Smooth Operator. Lucky number 7 brings us to the case of Charles Keating, the savings and loan kingpin who found himself in a financial firestorm. When Keating needed a legal lifeline, he called in the cavalry, Stephen Neal. This lawyer was smoother than a fresh jar of Skippy, I'm telling you. Neal's strategy was like watching a chess grandmaster at work. He meticulously picked apart the prosecution's case, turning their star witnesses into stammering messes on the stand. It was a legal ballet, with Neal pirouetting around every obstacle thrown his way. In the end, Keating's sentence was significantly reduced, leaving everyone wondering how on earth he pulled it off. 6. The Legal Labyrinth. Halfway through our list, we've got a real head-scratcher for you. O.J. Simpson's trial was like a legal labyrinth with twists and turns that'd make your head spin. But leading the charge through this maze was none other than Johnny Cochran, the smooth-talking legal maestro. Cochran's defense was a masterpiece of misdirection and doubt-sowing. He had the jury so turned around they couldn't tell which way was up. It was like watching a magician perform his greatest trick, making a mountain of evidence disappear before our very eyes. When the verdict came in, the whole world was left slack-jawed. Talk about a legal Houdini act. Don't miss out. Explore our handpicked true crime recommendations, links in the description. 5. The Courtroom Choreographer. Coming in at number 5, we've got a case that'll make your head spin. Martha Stewart, the queen of homemaking, found herself in a pickle that even her famous recipes couldn't fix. But fear not, because she had Robert Morvillo in her corner, a lawyer who could choreograph a courtroom dance like no other. Morvillo's defense was like watching a perfectly executed ballet. Every move was calculated, every argument precisely timed. He pirouetted around the prosecution's arguments, leaving them dizzy and confused. In the end, Stewart got off with a slap on the wrist compared to what she was facing. It was a legal performance worthy of a standing ovation. 4. The legal legerdemain. As we crack into our top 4, we've got a case that'll make your eyebrows shoot up so high they might just fly off your face. When Ken Lay of Enron fame found himself in hot water, he called in the cavalry, Michael Ramsey. This lawyer was a master of legal legerdemain, pulling legal rabbits out of hats like it was nobody's business. Ramsey's defense strategy was like watching a high-wire act without a safety net. He juggled complex financial jargon, threw doubt on key witnesses, and kept the jury's heads spinning faster than a top. It was a legal spectacle that had everyone on the edge of their seats. In the end, Lay walked free, leaving everyone wondering if they just witnessed the greatest legal magic trick of all time. 3. The courtroom conductor. Bronze medal goes to a case that had more twists and turns than a roller coaster. When Michael Jackson found himself in a sticky situation, he brought in the big guns, Thomas Mesereau. This guy wasn't just a lawyer, he was a courtroom conductor, orchestrating a symphony of reasonable doubt. Mesereau's cross-examinations were like watching a master violinist at work. He plucked at the prosecution's strings, creating a cacophony of confusion that left the jury's head spinning. It was a legal performance that would have made Mozart jealous. When the verdict came in, you could hear jaws hitting the floor all across the country. Talk about a show-stopping finale. 2. The legal labyrinth master. Just missing out on the top spot, we've got a case that'll make your brain do somersaults. When John Edwards found himself in a political pickle, he called in the cavalry, Ab Lowell. This lawyer wasn't just good, he was a master of the legal labyrinth, leading the prosecution on a wild goose chase through a maze of reasonable doubt. Lowell's defense was like watching a grandmaster play chess in 4D. He was always 10 steps ahead, anticipating the prosecution's moves and countering them before they even happened. It was a legal dance so intricate, so complex, that by the end of it, even the judge looked dizzy. When Edwards walked free, it was like watching the final piece of a puzzle fall into place. A true masterclass in legal strategy. 1. The ultimate legal escape artists. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. Our number 1 spot goes to a case so mind-boggling, so utterly unbelievable, that it'll have you questioning everything you thought you knew about the law. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the case of Dr. Mike Lynch, the British tech entrepreneur who walked away from what prosecutors called the autonomy fraud case.
This tech genius found himself in the crosshairs of one of the biggest fraud accusations in corporate history. After selling his company Autonomy to Hewlett-Packard for a mind-blowing $11.7 billion, HP turned around and claimed they'd been duped to the tune of $8.8 billion. That's a billion with a B, folks. It was like watching someone sell a Ferrari with a Pinto engine and get away with it.
Lynch's legal dream team, led by the heavy hitters at Clifford Chance and Steptoe LLP, pulled off what can only be described as the legal equivalent of escaping from a submarine at the bottom of the ocean. These legal wizards didn't just defend their client, they went on the offensive, arguing that HP's massive write-down wasn't because of fraud, but because of their own spectacular mismanagement. It was like watching someone blame the chef for burning the steak while they were holding the lighter. For 13 years, this legal saga dragged on, culminating in a marathon 12-week trial that had the legal world on the edge of its seat. Lynch's lawyers meticulously dismantled the government's case piece by piece, finding inconsistencies in HP's claims that you could drive a truck through. They turned the prosecution's evidence inside out, flipped it upside down, and left it so tattered and torn that the jury couldn't help but have reasonable doubt. When the not guilty verdict came down in 2024, You could hear jaws hitting the floor from Silicon Valley to Wall Street. After more than a decade of fighting, Dr. Lynch walked out of that courtroom a free man, despite the high-profile nature of the case and the billions of dollars at stake. It was like watching David take down Goliath with a legal slingshot, proving once again that with the right lawyers, even the most seemingly insurmountable accusations can crumble to dust. And there you have it, folks. Our top 10 criminals who got away thanks to some seriously slick lawyering. From mob bosses to Wall Street wizards, these cases prove that with the right lawyer, anything's possible in a court of law. It just goes to show, when it comes to justice, sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction.
So, the next time you find yourself in a legal pickle, remember these cases. They might just inspire you to think outside the box. Way, way outside the box. But let's hope you never need to use these tips, huh? Stay on the right side of the law, folks, because not everyone can pull off a legal magic trick like these guys did. And that's a wrap. If you enjoyed this wild ride through the world of courtroom drama, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And hey, if you've got any crazy legal stories of your own, drop them in the comments below. Who knows, maybe you'll inspire our next video